For centuries, the Ottoman Empire stood as one of the most powerful economic and political systems in the world. Stretching across three continents, it controlled vital trade routes, major cities, and enormous populations. From the outside, Ottoman power appeared permanent. But beneath this image of strength, the empire's financial foundations were slowly eroding. The Ottoman collapse was not sudden. It was the result of a long, gradual process in which money, institutions, and incentives stopped working together. At its height, the Ottoman economy thrived on trade. Control of land and sea routes between Europe and Asia generated customs revenues and commercial taxes. For generations, this system funded armies, administration, and monumental architecture. But trade-based wealth depends on relevance, and global trade was about to change in ways the empire could not control. The rise of Atlantic trade shifted global commerce away from Ottoman-controlled routes. European powers began trading directly with Asia by sea. As volumes declined, customs revenues fell. The empire's strategic position lost economic value, but its spending structure remained unchanged. As income weakened, expenditures did not. The Ottoman state maintained a massive military and bureaucracy built for expansion. Fiscal pressure increased year after year, forcing leaders to seek short-term solutions rather than structural reform. One of the empire's first responses was currency debasement. Silver content in coins was reduced to stretch limited resources. Initially, this kept the system functioning. Over time, it destroyed trust in money itself. As money lost value, prices rose. Soldiers and officials demanded higher pay. Inflation fed instability. Once confidence in currency declines, every transaction becomes uncertain. And uncertainty is fatal to complex economies. To compensate, taxation intensified. Productive classes were squeezed harder each year. Instead of expanding the tax base, the state exhausted it. Economic participation shrank, and resistance quietly grew. Artisans closed shops, trade slowed. Urban centers that once thrived became stagnant. The empire was not collapsing militarily, it was suffocating economically. Military reform proved nearly impossible. Groups that benefited from the old system blocked change. Economic inefficiency became politically protected. Stagnation turned permanent. While Europe industrialized, the Ottoman economy remained largely pre-modern. Productivity gaps widened. Imports increased. Trade deficits deepened. The empire began exporting silver and importing dependency. Foreign borrowing filled the gap. Loans postponed collapse but transferred sovereignty. Debt service consumed revenues. Financial control slowly slipped beyond imperial hands. Eventually, creditors imposed oversight. The empire still existed politically, but its finances were no longer independent. Economic power had shifted permanently. Without investment, infrastructure decayed. Ports lost relevance. Transportation slowed. Economic decline reinforced itself. Territorial losses followed economic weakness. Provinces no longer generated surplus. The empire's scale became a burden instead of an advantage. By the late 19th century, the outcome was inevitable. The empire had not adapted its financial structure to a changing world. Collapse was no longer a question of if, but when. The Ottoman Empire did not fall because it lacked power. It fell because its economic engine failed to evolve. Money, incentives, and institutions drifted apart. The Ottoman story reveals a timeless truth. Empires collapse not when they lose battles, but when their financial system stops supporting reality. History changes. Economics decides who survives.